So my first taste of the sport of triathlon came in 2010 when I went to watch my cousin Zoe. She was racing at the London Triathlon. So we headed down to the Excel Centre. It was pouring with rain if I remember. Um, but we had such a good day. So triathlon is swimming, biking and running, which were all sports that I'd done as a young athlete. But I never thought about putting all of them together until I went to see my cousin race in London. So a year later, I was 30 and I decided that I would try triathlon for the first time, and no better try to do than London, following the footsteps of Zoe. I loved it, absolutely loved it. Problem was that I was brand new to the sport, so all of the common mistakes, getting a bit lost in the swim, losing my bike in transition, biking through a tunnel, which obviously at that point as a visually impaired person I could manage it, but I probably shouldn't have been racing. The run was quite tricky, quite up and downy. It was brutal, really hot. I got sunburned. I got rushed into the first aid tent to have ice packs on as soon as I finished, but I loved it, and that was where my love and passion for the sport started. So I knew that unfortunately the day was coming where I wouldn't be able to do racing in triathlon by myself. I sort of made a commitment to myself that although I was happy to go out there and do these things and push the boundaries, I would hang up my helmet and put the bike away once I felt that I was too safe for myself and for other people that I was racing with. So yeah, I knew that I had a short shelf life, and so I did as many races as I could. So as I got older and my eyesight deteriorated, we're heading towards Weymouth in 2017, and that, I had races where I'd missed turnings and gone the wrong way, but Weymouth in 2017 was the last race that I did fully as a solo athlete. So anybody that was in Weymouth and racing 7.3 on that day in September will know that it was an absolutely ridiculous swim. The waves, the swell, it was carnage. Swimmers getting chucked about all over the place, people being sick in the water, people actually on the beach, backing out, backing away, and not even wanting to get in the water. It was horrible, horrible swim. It was a really long transition, so to run from the beach where the swim was, it was a longish run to collect our bikes. Got on the bike, and obviously at that time in the morning, sunshine's coming up, which created a lot of problems for me with my eyesight. There were a lot of good people racing, and I'm a fairly decent swimmer. So what tends to happen is I come out of the water fairly well up, and then people that are really good on the bike will come flying past. And I don't know if you've ever experienced what it's like to be overtaken by lots of cyclists on really expensive bikes, but it's quite noisy. They pass really close to you. So when you can't really see properly what you're doing, it's a bit hairy. Me and Lauren had already driven the course a couple of days before, and I'd already cycled the bits that were pretty much dark, wooded, shaded areas that I'd struggle with. And I could cope with it when I was by myself, but you put it in a situation where you've got lots of other cyclists all trying to compete for time. There were a few hairy moments, a few times where bikes came across the front of me. I had times where I was ridden into curbs and into gravel. It just wasn't a fun bike route. It was very up and down. So it was a challenge, and I didn't really enjoy it, and I started getting a feeling that, you know, perhaps I'm at a point where this is just getting a bit risky for me. So I got off the bike in one piece, onto the run, and I was running along the promenade, and there's a bit where you turn slightly onto a roundabout, and I missed the curb and landed with a straight leg down a curb and really busted my knee up quite badly. So a lot of pain, a lot of tears, managed to sort of limp my way to the finish line, and crossed the line and just burst into tears because I knew that was probably going to be it for me. So earlier in 2017, in August, there was a new triathlon launched called the Super Series Triathlon, and it was basically an event for people with disabilities to come and give triathlon a go. And it was done at Eton Dorney, and it's a safe environment, and it was such a humbling and eye-opening experience to see what kids with disabilities and, you know, all manner of disabilities and problems that they were overcoming to do this race and have a bit of a go at triathlon. It was pretty special. So I'd gone from that experience of being able to do an event in a really safe place surrounded by people that were just there to enjoy it. And then I'd gone to Weymouth in September and had a really horrible time, and I thought, what's the point? I'm risking everything for for my own ego. I don't make money from racing and triathlon, and I got to a point where it's like, it's better to be safe than it is to keep pushing it and not enjoying it. So I made the decision to just come away from triathlon, stop racing, and all I did for the next couple of years was I raced the Superhero Tri in 2018 and 2019. Now the first one in 2017 I did by myself. The second one I did with Lauren, and the third one I did with Lauren as well. So I was swimming with Lauren, just shouting at me, telling me how to swim. I was biking behind Lauren on my bike. She was on her bike, I was on mine, and I was just following her. And then we just ran together, and she just shouted at me. But that was sort of my first taste of disability sport, those 3 races, and it was cool. I really enjoyed it. So we got to 2020, and I'd been out of the sport for getting on 3 years, and then lockdown happened, and it was only by being stuck at home and having all of our privileges removed that I realised how much I was missing triathlon and the sport of triathlon. I knew that I couldn't go back to the sport as it was, and I knew the only way that I could get myself back into racing was to embrace Paratriathlon, which is triathlon for people with disabilities. Me being visually impaired, I could race against other blind and visually impaired people. So this was quite cool. Spent a lot of time researching it and looking into it, and decided with the money that we'd sort of saved away from not being able to go anywhere, I invested in my own custom built tandem road bike. Triathlon in the UK is governed by British Triathlon Federation, and when I was looking to buy my tandem, I bought my tandem with the idea that I would race with Lauren. British Triathlon, the only categories that could allow you to race for Team GB and a GB tri-suit were categories where men and men race together, ladies race together. So the guide and the athlete have to be the same sex. So obviously that meant that for me and Lauren, we would just have to compete in local races, races where you're not looking to qualify for anything else, you're just there to complete them. So I was quite happy with this. There was part of me that always wanted to race for Team GB. But you know, I was happy that we had a tandem. I was out there doing races and I was going to spend time with the wife. So yeah, that was going to be all good. Although she wasn't my wife at the time, she was my fiance, so it's all good. So in August 2021, me and Lauren went to Eton Dorney to race in a triathlon. And it was the first proper race that we'd done tied together for the swim on the tandem road bike and sort of tethered at the wrist. And it was a bit of a running joke because we were getting married a few weeks later. And the joke was that if we could make it through a triathlon tied together, then we would probably be okay to get married. The race went really well. We had a lot of fun. We did have a lot of swearing and talking to each other for a while, but we made it through and we laugh about it now. So yeah, it was a good day. So I'm pleased to say that our journey as husband and wife is coming up for 3 years in September this year, but our journey as sort of athlete and guide finished last year. So that story was no longer to be written for us. July 2023, me and my new guide Andy got together. We raced our first race in Norwich, and we've been sort of training and racing together ever since. We are definitely planning on taking on the younger guys that are coming through and trying to compete with the very best blind triathletes. So if you're interested in triathlon and you want to see videos of me training for swimming, biking, running, training with Andy, training in the gym, racing, then please subscribe to Blind Focus with Rob Sears. Hit the little bell icon and be notified when we put up these awesome videos. There's a series of 3 coming really soon, swim, bike, run. So please don't miss out, and yeah, do your thing, subscribe and hit notifications, and we'll see you soon.